everyone, so I will be doing my April wrap-up. I am hoping to film my May wrap-up soon, in the beginning of June, so I'm all caught up. For the month of April, I read 5 books, so let's get started. The first book I read was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. This, of course, is a reread for me, but I haven't read it since I was like 10. Yes, I am that old. And I love it still, and I think this is a great reading for like quarantine because, you know, you can just escape into the world and a world that you already love. And there are a lot of parts that I didn't remember because I've seen the movie way more than I've read the book, which is a shame. So I don't remember a lot of things, like the death day of Sir Nicholas. That was a great scene. I didn't even remember that there was a whole big scene with nearly headless Nick, and so that was really interesting. And however, I liked the freeing of Dobby more in the movie than in the book. Like in the book, he hands Malfoy the diary and the sock together. He sees it, and then Malfoy just throws the sock and Dobby catches it, and so he's like, "You've given me a sock." And I like that in the movie they kind of trick him into giving him the sock, and I liked that better, but that's like the only thing I think I will ever say that I liked part of the movie more than the book, because the book is so much more detailed and it's just amazing. The second book is Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews. I have a lot of feelings for this book, and I will have spoilers in this, but I will tell you when I will say the spoilers, and then I'll leave a little timestamp and when you can fast forward if you don't want to know spoilers. But I need to rant about this book, and a lot of it has to do with spoilers, so I'm just gonna put that in. So, trigger warning for child abuse and rape. This whole book is about child abuse because they're locked in a small room and an attic that they call the playroom, and the little kids don't get sunlight, and so their growth is very stunted and their skin is very pale, and they even get like beaten, and at one point they get starved. So, trigger warning on that. So, here are the spoilers. If you do not want to know, then skip forward. So, the grandmother is very religious, and she thinks their grandchildren are very wicked because they were born from sin. And the reason is that because her daughter, the kid's mother, married the grandfather's half-brother. And so those kids are related, and so they think that because they were born in sin that they will do sinful things, which does happen. And listen, I knew the oldest children would get together. I knew this from the beginning, so I was ready to be disturbed. I just don't like how old/young they were. Like, they were old enough to know better, that that's your brother and you shouldn't do things with your brother. Like, if it was the twins who were very young and they were sheltered in this attic and didn't know much, then I could probably be like, they don't really know the implications of it, so I could give it a pass. But no, they knew it right away, and so they got older and their body started to mature, and the girl's body became a woman's body, and then the brother looked at her, you know, lustfully. So I was prepared, but I wasn't prepared how young they were when they got together. Like, she's like 15 and he's like 18, I think. So that's still way too young, and he rapes her. I didn't expect that. He gets jealous because she kisses their stepfather secretly on the cheek or the forehead and pretending, you know, he was sleeping so he didn't really notice. And so the brother got all jealous and was like, "Oh, is this what you want?" And so he rapes her, and she was like saying no. But then afterwards, he was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I raped you." And she's like, "Oh my God, you didn't rape me because I could have forced you to stop. I could have pushed you off. I could have, but I wanted it. I secretly wanted it." And I'm like, no, that is rape. Just, you said no multiple times, and just because in the end you did want it doesn't mean the act itself wasn't rape. And I don't like that that kind of message is being shown. Like, as soon as you say no, it should be no. Like, it shouldn't get to the point where you're going to be like, okay, I guess I want this. No, it's rape. And so I didn't like that. So I did like that it is disturbing. Like, as much as it creeped me out and I was like, had so many feelings, I think that's why I like this book, because it gave me such a reaction. And I will remember this book for a long time. It won't be something that I will forget because I have such a big reaction to it. It made me want to look more into V.C. Andrews because I was like, she had to have a messed up life. Like, all her books are surrounded about like abused children and in a sexual way. So it's like, there has to be something. But apparently not. She even said in an interview, lots of people think she's been abused, but she hasn't. Her parents are wonderful people. And so I'm like, how did you create something so twisted in like all your work? Because I really thought she had come from a messed up life. And in an interview with like V.C. Andrews' relative, they said that this book is loosely based on true story, that when V.C. Andrews was in the hospital for some surgery, she fell in love with the doctor, and the doctor said he was hidden in an attic for like 6 years to protect wealth. And then she created a story around that. So it wasn't like incest the doctor was talking about, but she kind of created that from this. Which I don't know how. Very messed up. But I will definitely continue with the series because I gotta know. The next book I read was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So this is like a fantasy novel about these 4 siblings that go live with their uncle, and Lucy, the youngest one, goes into a wardrobe and ends up into this magical world of Narnia. And when she comes back, she tells her brothers and sisters, but they don't believe her until one day they're all hiding in the wardrobe and are then transported into this magical world of Narnia, which is enchanted by an evil witch. And so they team up with Aslan to break the spell and free everybody in Narnia. I gave this a 3.5 stars. I really liked it. I thought it was like a cute little fantasy novel. It's very short. It is a religious book. I know Aslan is supposed to be like Jesus and the witch is supposed to be Satan, and there's many other religious symbolism, but personally I am not a religious person. And so I just took it as a lion is a lion, the witch is a witch, Narnia is just Narnia. Like, I didn't see it any other way. So I don't think it's like blaringly in your face that it's religious, but I'm not a religious person. I never grew up religious, so I don't really know everything like about the Bible and the symbolism. So it might be, if you are religious or once was religious, it might be more blaring, but for me it wasn't. And I liked that because I wouldn't want to read a religious book. I really liked the character Lucy, and I loved her relationship with Thomas. The only problem I had with this book, which I don't think is a problem per se, I just have to probably read the next book in the series to get it, is just that after everything is over, they stay in Narnia till they're grown up. And then one day they accidentally go into the wardrobe, and when they come out, they're children. So it's like years and years in Narnia, but like it's only been like an hour there. And so my problem is okay, they were adults. Do they remember Narnia? Do they remember being adults? Are they mature now? Like, how is that going to affect them there? Because like, I can't imagine being my age and then being transported back into like 5 years old. Like, do they still have all the memories of being mature, or is it just like, oh, like a faint memory of Narnia? I don't know. So I thought it was kind of creepy in that part, but I have to read the rest of the series to understand if they remember Narnia and what's going on with that. The next book I read was The Princess Diaries. I gave this a 2-star rating. I really did not like it. I liked the movie so much better. So her father is alive in the book, and he had cancer, and he finds out that because of the cancer and the treatment, he's sterile. And so he has to come clean to his daughter Mia that he is the Prince of Genovia and that she is the Princess of Genovia. Now she will have responsibilities. I thought that was a little weird because it's like, how does she not know? Especially because they say she did a project on Genovia, and so she researched everything about it and knew who was in charge, but she never put 2 and 2 together, even though the person has the same name and I think she sees a picture of him. But I was like, come on, how does she not know? And I did not like Mia at all. She was such a brat, and at one point she's very rude and entitled. Like, I don't understand where that comes from. And her relationship with Lily is not as cute as in the movie. Like, it was not this good friendship, and so overall I just didn't like it. Like, if you like the movie so much, do not read the book. because it's nothing like it, and so you won't have the same nostalgia feeling from the movie to the book. And the last book I read was I Am C-3PO, The Inside Story by Anthony Daniels. I love this book, of course. It's about Star Wars. C-3PO, he's my favorite character. I learned a lot about Star Wars and his character that I didn't even know about before. Anthony Daniels, in the beginning, like this first Star Wars, like he was treated not so nicely because he had to stand all day in a hot suit. He couldn't really breathe. It was so hot. But it took too long to get him out of the suit, so he'd just stand there. So even on breaks and takes that he's not in, he'd just stand there. And after a while, the crew didn't see him as a real person because he's in that suit, and so he's just standing there all the time, so they didn't really think of him as a person in there. Which kind of is sad. He got no credit in the beginning of Star Wars because they want to keep the illusion alive that he's a robot. So they actually thought there was a robot. And I think I did too, and I know my mom did when she first saw Star Wars. She didn't think like, oh, there's a person in there. And I liked that he stayed being the person throughout the thing. Like, J.J. Abrams contacted him and was like, do you want to reprise your roles as C-3PO? And he goes, yes. And he was like, do you want to be just the voice, or do you want to do the whole thing? And he was like, I want to do it all. So I like, even though now they have the technology and to make C-3PO look like to be an actual robot, he chose to still do it. And I think I really like that because C-3PO is my favorite character in Star Wars. And so I think if you like Star Wars, read this book. It's so great. And you get like pictures in it, and I like he has such kind words from Mark Hamill, so that warms my heart because, you know, Hamill's like Luke Skywalker, so I'm glad that he has such kind things to say about him. So if you like Star Wars, I highly recommend this book. It is very good. So those are all the books I read in the month of April. Like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Bye!